LSU went 9-4 last year. Kind of disappointing. I feel like people were hoping they would make the playoffs. Garrett Nussmeier has been this touted as this great QB, and he had a good year. Threw for 4,000 yards last season, 29 touchdowns, 12 picks. Comes into the season tied for the second best Heisman odds with Cade Klubnik. He's a gunslinger. He can make almost any throw, and he knows it, which actually can get him into trouble because sometimes he forces stuff or just is like, he just forced stuff. He's like, I'm better. This is going to work, and sometimes it doesn't work. Think about the A&M game. He ended up throwing 3 picks and while the wheels are falling off because he just kept trying to force stuff, and it wasn't there. They bring back Caden Durham at running back as well, who had 753 yards, 6 touchdowns. Speedster, he's a true sophomore. But I want to circle back to Garrett Nussmeier. He's a QB people think will be a first-round pick, very possibly, very likely. The question is he a late first-round pick, a mid-first-round pick, or is he a top 10 kind of guy?
He'd have to
Thoughts on him?
He'd have to play himself out of a first-round pick right now, because of the value at a quarterback. I'm curious if he would fit into the top 10. For me, like, the zip on the ball for a guy of his stature, which he's not tiny. He's 6'2", 200. He looks tiny, but he's not small. He has great zip on the ball, beautiful little tight spiral. He is a pocket passer, but like Lagway, I compared Lagway to him in the fact that he loves floating into space and floats into good spacing where the play is going and finds his receivers downfield. And he's had weapons his entire career. And obviously last year, the offensive line was elite as well. So the time was there to throw in nearly every game last year for him, except maybe the Alabama game, the A&M game. And he rushed and had a few bad picks there. The 12 picks kind of hurts him, but for how much they threw the ball last year, it's something that's going to happen. I'm really curious. He is, again, another, like Lagway, a quarterback where I need to see him now play in big moments again with what I would argue is a worse offense. Worse offensive line. That is kind of inarguable. Losing Will Campbell and then also losing their right tackle as well. I forgot the name now.
Emory, is that something?
Emory Jones Jr., yes.
Okay, that's what.
Losing that, and then obviously I think their weapons are worse this year than they were. I expect Aaron Anderson to be good, but I don't know how convinced I am on Nick Anderson and Barryon Brown being any better than Kyron Lacey was last year. I think Kyron Lacey was elite for them last year. And then obviously they still had great tight end play with Taylor's
Mason Taylor.
Mm-hmm. I want to see Nuss play big in big moments. The big one will be right off the bat against Clemson. Like, personally, this is not just Tiger and me. I think Clemson's defensive line has the chance to just eat LSU alive.
Yeah.
And in playing in that environment in Death Valley, the better one, not really. I think the LSU Death Valley.
Glad you're realistic there, at least.
I'll be honest. I think the LSU Death Valley is better than the Clemson one, and that's a Tiger fan. But I think we're gonna eat him alive, and I want to see how he responds in that, especially early on in the season. That'll tell me whether or not this guy is okay. He could start at quarterback. Okay, he could be a really good quarterback.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Thoughts on him, Sanders?
I wonder, like, I don't know what the wide receiver room looks like off the top of my head, and we don't have any wide receivers listed under the key players. Are there any wide receivers that stood out? Because I feel okay, there just weren't any up there, and I feel like
elite.
LSU has that's what I was going to ask. Elite. LSU has always had Brian Thomas Jr., Malik Neighbors.
They don't have that like top tier first round pick guy this year, but is very deep, very skilled. They probably have a couple guys on the top 200. There they are. Aaron Anderson,
Aaron
Barryon
Anderson's
Brown.
at 140, so they don't have a first round pick.
And
they
the
don't
Oklahoma
have a
transfer,
second or third first round pick.
Nick Anderson is like an in theory good receiver. Has dealt with injuries though. The reason there are no wide receivers on the key players list, because I think the defense is really what's most important this season. Is can this LSU team finally field a good defense again? A great defense. Because you think back to like the 2010s teams, it was like you got the crap scared out of you when you played LSU teams because moving the ball in them was so tough and they were so fierce. They always, had great linebackers, great coverage guys.
Tyrann Mathieu, Patrick Peterson. even more recently, Grant Delpit. Like
Correct.
they've had
Stingley.
just constant first and second round picks out of the secondary, and then also like linebacker core.
Yeah, and this Brian Kelly team hasn't had that. Simply put, now they bring in a ton of transfers this year to hopefully fix that among some key returners. I'm just going to run through them real quick.
Yeah.
Patrick Payton's coming in from FSU on the defensive line, had 4 sacks last year, should be pretty good. You return both your linebackers. Whit Weeks was great last year, is just kind of everywhere. Disruptor, loves to get into the backfield. Harold Perkins is a fantastic pass rusher, but he is coming off a torn ACL, so it's kind of, is he up to 100% ready to roll at the beginning of the season? Plus, how do they deploy him? Because that's kind of been a big question with Harold Perkins.
I have an answer for that. So, freshman All-American pass rusher comes in the next year, hurt, tears his ACL, misses 9 games last year as well. He's going to be in the star position, meaning he's going to play essentially the hybrid safety linebacker. Like, think Isaiah Simmons at Clemson.
And this guy was a pass rusher his freshman year?
Was a pass rusher his freshman year. They're going to put him at safety/linebacker. So he can still rush the passer, but he's going to play anywhere and everywhere.
It's interesting because theoretically he shouldn't be as good of a pass rusher he is, considering like size and stuff, but he's just that athletic. And theoretically should be able to play in coverage. There just has been some growing pains there throughout his time. But like he's talented enough it could work. That's just kind of a wait and see. And then I think the defensive back pairing they brought in could be amazing. AJ Halsey from Houston is a great get. He had 5 picks and 43 solo tackles there last year. Graded out great in coverage. And then Mansour Delane, defensive back from Virginia Tech, had 4 picks and 32 solo tackles. So it just kind of comes down to, like, can all these defensive pieces gel? Can they have this good offense again? Because it hasn't been up to the standard. And if Brian Kelly wants to make the playoffs,
they have to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's
I think
inarguable
that's a good point.
this year, given the talent that they have. A quarterback returning to them who played as well as he is, a first-round quarterback. Like, they have to make the playoff this year.
Sure.
That is inarguable.
Do you think they'd fire Brian Kelly if they didn't?
No, they're not going to fire Brian Kelly. I don't think they would unless they were 6-6.
Yeah.
Okay. I think
I just don't think that's the right move.
How do you feel about Brian Kelly rocking the khaki-colored fit the other day? Like, how does that do to his
I didn't
aura?
see the khaki fit, but
I
I
didn't think
haven't
it was
liked
that bad.
really anything that he's done.
I'm going to try and pull
From
it.
Not
aura
even when he did
standpoint.
his little dance, like with the
He
cameras
actually
going
may
around?
have the least.
No, that's a good gift. but
He has one of the. He's like bottom 3 in aura for
You-
SEC
You
coaches.
thought about somebody else. Who did you think about?
Eli Drinkwitz is pretty low in my
Yeah,
opinion in
yeah.
aura as well.
Yeah, okay,
Valid.
that's fair.
But I think it's fair. I'm personally a little surprised that they're in that top tier odds-wise in the SEC. They're like right behind the big 3 that we've been talking about in terms of Texas, Georgia, and Alabama.
I think a lot of that is the transfer class. They had the best transfer class in the country this last year, and
Yeah.
so a lot of what we think about from LSU last year coming into this year just isn't the case because they're projected to start 6 transfers. Like I said, they had the number 1 transfer class in the country. And there's going to be a lot of guys that are going to play for them, that are going to see playing time, that are going to start or have impact moments that we haven't seen in the LSU uniform yet. And so that might be part of what the odds makers are taking into consideration is like
I get that, but it's like you're banking then on the transfers gelling, which we've seen work and we've seen not work. Whereas these other teams, we kind of know what they have and we have a bigger track record of them being that good. So I agree that they're going to be very good this year, but for them to be like right in line with those top guys is like
I mean,
a
I
little
don't know.
strange to
I
me.
can pull. Are they right in line? Like
they're like 100 points off. It's not like they're tied for 3rd, but
okay, so it goes
they are
280.
in the top tier.
yes.
So it goes Texas at plus 280, Georgia plus 290. So that's like, I mean, it's Texas and Georgia, and then below them Alabama plus 470, LSU at plus 600, and then a big drop off A&M at plus 1500, Florida plus 1800. So
Oh, that's bad.
It's more of a mustard fit, but it's rough.
That is not a good fit.
Sorry to interrupt.
no, you good. I think the schedule is, it's tough. It's a lot of road games. They go to Clemson, to Ole Miss, to Alabama, to Oklahoma, to Vanderbilt. I'll throw that one out there too. But also this team went 9-3 in the regular season last year, or is it 8-4? Did they win their bowl game?
They were 9-4 winning their bowl game. They're 8-4.
So 8-4 in the regular season. I expect them to win more games this year probably because I think that they're going to be better. Not so like I expect to see. I do expect the transfers to click because I think that they've got a good blend of returning production. They aren't a Florida State where they're starting like 12, 15, they're starting 6 transfers.
Sure.
as projected right now. So I think that they've got a good blend of really good talent out of the portal, but not relying on that talent to be like what defines the games, because they bring back Nussmeier and they bring back a good linebacker core. I think that they've got a good blend of returning elite production and then bringing in elite production from outside.
Yeah, I think my thing is like I can't disagree, but it's not like they've not had talent on defense all this time under Brian Kelly. It just hasn't clicked, and it's just like I'm kind of struggling to buy into these Brian Kelly LSU teams at this point for them to fully get the job done and not drop a game or two they probably shouldn't lose if they're as good as they want us to believe they are.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's kind of where I really struggle. 8.5 is a very good line. It's a tough one to pick. I'm probably going to take the over. I guess I'm going to pick them to get to 9 wins. But
I will also be. I mean, I was just saying that I think I already said I would take the over in my little rant a second ago. I will also be taking the over, even though it is a very hard schedule. What are their preseason number 9? Okay.
I mean, what's not a hard schedule in the SEC?
This is true, but they don't do themselves any favor by having to go on the road to Clemson week 1.
That is.
Well, they could be doing themselves a massive favor.
No, sorry. Yes, I just meant as far as like having a hard schedule in the like looking at it.
I have a
front end.
really difficult time picking. I would not bet them to go over. I think that's
Me
a
either.
really hard bet to make, because last year they showed they were not a good team on the road. Neutral site loss to USC.
Wheels fall off in Kyle Field.
Wheels fall off in Kyle Field with a big lead, and then you lost at Florida the week following the disaster in Death Valley against Alabama. They also should not have won the South Carolina game. Stupid
Yeah.
referee call that kind of cost the Gamecocks there. And then even at home, they weren't necessarily great. They did not lead for a single second against Ole Miss in regulation and then beat them in overtime. And then, of course, the Alabama game, they were embarrassed. So I come into this season and I look at their schedule and I'm like, okay, well, this is a team that kind of showed last year they're not going to be great on the road. And they weren't even a guarantee at home, so I don't know how I can get them to 9 wins, because they play so many tough games, especially on the road and at home. Both, like, that's an even split, basically, of tough games on both sides. I don't have enough faith in Brian Kelly and this team to get there. I'm not going to be surprised if they do, and if they make the playoff. Like, they deserve the buzz that they have right now, but I don't trust them to win all of these games, because they've shown in recent history that that is not something they do, no matter who is playing quarterback.
Sure.
Outside of Joe Burrow, and that was arguably the best college football team of all time. Also not Brian Kelly's LSU Tigers at that point either. So I have them going 8-4 this year. I think the fact that they play a ton of tough games, have their bye in Week 10, and they still have to go to Tuscaloosa, and they still have to go to Oklahoma in the season. Like, it's just, I don't see them getting hot, because I don't think they are good enough to win games consecutively against SEC competition. And this is a team I think that has to get hot to make a run for the SEC championship, and to specifically make a run to the playoff, and of course make a run to win a national championship.
I think that's fair. I also, just one last thing on Brian Kelly, and I can push back if y'all disagree, but I feel like there were kind of similar criticisms at Notre Dame of like struggling to necessarily win big games when stuff really mattered in playoffs, or games to make playoffs. The big regular season games they had, he didn't necessarily always deliver, and he's continued that into his time at LSU.